Okay, I'll talk a little bit about what we're up to today. Obviously we got a hot rod out here with no spring shackles on the back. Just a little piece of work that someone failed to complete. There's a few problems with something like this. One is that these old bolts that have been cut off, they're wicked hard to get out of there once that's all sat for a long time. I banged this one a little bit with a hammer, but I don't know. It might have moved a little bit, but I don't think it is. My first thought was that I'd pop these springs off, put them on a drill press, possibly heat them a little bit and kind of use the drill press to try to punch down through there, maybe even drill them a bit. But I got to looking at this. This front end, I believe, was cut right off the car. In fact, this whole spring, if you look at how rusted that is, and also the rust grooves inside where that U-clamp is, I believe that rear end and these springs were mated together from the factory. This is supposed to be a 57 Ford rear end, and there were some other 57 Ford parts that got used, and I'm thinking that's what this is, and they just cut this off. And the problem I got is this spring's going to be just as bad as one back there, if not worse. Where the nut used to be is gone. This will sit here like this for another 100 years, but if you were to try to get that apart, Lord help you, you'd have a nice day. So what I'm going to try to do is, without removing the springs, first of all get these little pegs out, and then secondly after that make me some shackles back here, fabricate up something, which would be the easy part, to be honest with you, if I can get them pins out. I'll work on that a bit. Okay, I've tried 2 or 3 different ways to get these things out, including hammering them, using an air hammer on them, different things like that. I considered taking my welder. I don't have a real torch and things like that. I thought about taking my welder and trying to heat those centers up enough to punch them out, but even if I did, they'd probably make marshmallows out of that rubber. So what I'm doing here instead is just heating the outside of the spring up with the hope that it will cause that rubber to kind of start to gellify inside that spring. Then I can just poke the whole thing out. Once I get it all out, I get me some new rubbers and new shackles and go that way. I think that'll work. Well, she got a pretty good burn going there. She's getting hot enough to crinkle the paint on the top of that shackle. And she's smoldering and smothering and this stuff. I think I'll hit it with a hammer and see what happens. Well, that worked. There's the little piece that came out of it, all the rubber and everything, and there's my spring end. It's all nice and pretty, ready for some new shackles. This reminds me of that movie I seen when I was I wasn't really a kid, but what was the name of that movie? Had all those mythical figures in it, and this kid's house burned down, and at the end of it they opened the microwave and there was something in there that looked about like that, and he said, "Don't touch it, it's evil." Okay, we got one side out, and it actually looks pretty good. That was a pretty good way to get that out of there. I'm working on the other side now. I'll heat it up and then hammer it out the same way. I'll let this side cook till it gets good and smoky, and then I'll hammer it out. Okay, I got the evil out of the other side. There it is right there, sitting there just smoking and pondering itself. So I guess I'm going to have to find me a new project. I don't want to build spring shackle hangers till I have the shackles and the rubbers to go in them, because I might build them wrong. So I guess I'll just let this part up to rest and work on something else for a while.